hey there everyone, welcome on into VG Emporium, video game music and more. I'm your host Rage Cage, and today we're going to be talking about tracks that have unknown composers. Yep, I did some research on these games and couldn't find any credits for a composer on any of them because they're just so, just obscure. But before we continue, I'd like to again remind you that episode 100 is coming up, only 3 episodes away. I have a pretty good number of submissions already, but I'd like to have more to fit in there. So again, send me your favorite track that has been played on the show, a little message either in text or audio format, and then send it to vgemporium@gmail.com on any of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or on Discord. And make sure to have that to me before or by November 9th. I may accept some stragglers between the 9th and the 16th, and then the episode's coming out on the 23rd, Thanksgiving Day. Kind of appropriate, huh? So now the second thing, referring to last week's episode, Creeptastic Tunes, I featured a track from a game that I was excited about called World of Horror, which I did end up purchasing on the 26th when they came out. And so far, let's see, that was Thursday, today is Saturday. I've only been able to play the first basic scenarios, and I'm pretty intrigued and creeped out by just what I've encountered so far in just that quick playthrough. Getting a hang of the mechanics, and I'm looking forward to really diving into the scenarios where you're actually really in the thick of it. And I gotta say, the music by Questa and Arc of Dream fits perfectly with everything that's going on. So if you're into the art style of Junji Ito, the stories of H.P. Lovecraft, and Windows-based graphic adventure RPGs, which is a combination that works surprisingly well, this is definitely the game for you. Alright, now getting into this episode proper. We're talking about Composers Unknown. So yeah, what we came in on with was BGM number 05 from Heaven's Will. This was a Japan-only PSP release, and it was created jointly by Taito and Global A Entertainment. And in it, you play as a character Ness, which is short for Nameless, which is kind of appropriate for this episode, and he's stuck in a labyrinth, and he's got to find a way out. But this isn't an easy task, because there's multiple floors to this labyrinth, and, you got a time limit to clear each floor. But it ain't so easy because, there's a lot of traps and enemies that are in Ness's way. But fortunately for Ness, as he's exploring this labyrinth, he'll meet many folks that are called EOs, or experimental objects, which are people that have mutant powers that will be able to assist him, and you can have up to 3 of them in your party at once. You can find about 60 of them throughout the labyrinth, which is a lot of folks, huh? Yeah, so this game is action-oriented with a top-down view, and then, the 3 folks that you can have in your party are assisting you as you're going along. I'm not quite sure if it's by commands or if they're just there kind of as option things, just doing things automatically. I don't know. And as for the music, this track right here is one of the standouts. For the most part, it's just kind of your generic action fare that you would find on a PSP. So not much more to say here, but now we're going to get into a track that's a little more exciting. This is Mission Escape from Hell from City Hunter, and of course, Composer Unknown. And that was Mission Escape from Hell from City Hunter on the PC Engine, composed by some unknown fella and or gal. And all I gotta say is that when there's an echoed bass on a track like this, you got me. But as you can tell, this entire track, even the entire soundtrack, is just damn good. And after looking into this game, it's no wonder because this game was developed by Sun Electronic Corporation. which, get this, is also known as Sunsoft. Who would have thought? Sunsoft Sound Team knows what they're up to, but unfortunately I could not track down exactly who had composed this song from that sound team, but I'll leave it at that because I don't have more time to research this. So you probably ask, what is game? So, this is based off the manga of the same name, City Hunter, which focuses on an organization called the City Hunter, which was founded by Ryo Seiba, which is our main character. And City Hunter is a private detective agency that takes on, particularly dangerous cases. And so in the game proper, you play as Ryo, and you have 3 missions to choose from. And, they're not unrelated, so you can just do whichever one in order. And, it's a side-scrolling shooter action-adventure game. And it actually does have light adventure elements where you talk to people, find certain items to do certain tasks, and, whatnot. So far, what I've read about this game, it seems that it wasn't actually possibly originally to be a City Hunter game. It was like a different game, and then they just slapped City Hunter on top of it to make it, hey, link to this manga/anime. People will buy it. All right, so now moving on to our next track here. This one is right silly. This is a tracked mode from World PK Soccer V2, composed by some unknowable madman. And that was a track mode from World PK Soccer V2. And if this, a track theme didn't pull you in, the actual arcade machine would, because this thing was unique. So it had the cabinet, but it also had a other device that was next to it that had a soccer ball device thing attached to it. So you would kick it, and depending on how hard you kicked it, that's how hard the ball would go. This is a weird game. So it's not actually playing soccer. It's more you're doing like the goals. Like you're actually kicking the ball into the goal. And you can choose which where you kick it on the ball, and depending how hard you kick the lever thing, it goes. And whenever you score a goal, of course, there's a guy that says, "Goal!" And there are some variations to that. Some of them are short like that. Some of them are a little more dragged out, but nothing like. And if you lived in a Hispanic household, in my case Mexican, that loves soccer, you knew this. Know this particular announcer because of his very unique. Whenever somebody scores a goal, he gets really excited. He's like, "Hold on, goal! Go!" But yeah, that's an intrinsic part of my childhood. My dad watching football, soccer as we know it here in the States, but yeah, he was really into it. He would go and play with his friends, and they would also imitate it all the time. And if there's anything I could say I learned from soccer, it was that guy can hold a goal really long. Way too long. For those of you not in the know, Andre Cantor has been the play-by-play commentator Originally for the American Spanish television network Univision, starting in 1987, when I was born. Oh, yeah, another awesome thing that started in 1987. And now currently works for Telemundo, which is another American-based Spanish network. And yeah, like I said, does play-by-plays, does color commentary as well for multiple other sports, but mostly it's been football. And yeah, it's definitely an experience. So if you're ever curious, just tune into Telemundo when it's on. And yeah, get excited because you can't help but feel his energy. Bet you didn't expect to learn about a football commentator on a VGM podcast. Well, I wasn't expecting it either. But, looking up gameplay footage for this, hearing that goal just triggered that automatically in my brain. I had to do some research, and there you go. Before we move on, I want to comment a little bit on the music itself. Even though it's composed by a Japanese company, Jaleco, it sounds like something that could be on the Amiga with how the samples sound, the way how it's composed. It just has that wacky European platformer vibe to it. So now, going on to our next track. And this one's quite the switch up. So this is BGM 4 from Jyangokushi, Haoh no Saihai. And that was BGM 4 from Jyangokushi, Haoh no Saihai. And this is developed by Capcom for their CPS2 arcade board, which of course means you're listening to Q sound. And so going off the way how the style of this sounds, you'd imagine this is maybe like a side-scrolling beat-em-up featuring like Chinese heroes, possibly, or maybe some kind of crazy weird strategy game. But nope, Mahjong. Yep, you heard that right. Arcade Mahjong. So what I've been able to figure out, this is based on the story of the Three Kingdoms. So you choose your warrior, and then you go and face, head-to-head on Mahjong. And depending on if you win or lose, you get a different little cutscene, and you face all different kinds of foes. That's all I got. And so now I'm going to give you some more whiplash here because we're going from a nice calming tune that, helps you figure out where you're going to put your next tile to something truly, truly ridiculous. This is Stage 1-5 and 3-5 from B.Rap Boys.
You call me on the telly and ask if I'm ready to meet you at the show. Rock steady. Had a hard night, I couldn't sleep, so reckless. Call me back when I finish my breakfast. Man, it woke me up and ruined my dream. Playing side by side with my homeboy Kareem. Going for the title, well, that's how it goes. Like Chicken said, the refrigerator's closed. Not here. My refrigerator's open, it's time to throw down. I'm not joking, bacon, eggs, and grits are gonna taste great. But all I see is milk and cornflakes. I finish my bowl, shower, and get dressed. I know dog is sharp, so I'll wear my best. I'm honey on the bottom, cause I on the top. When we hit the stage, the beats will drop. You call me on the telly and ask if I'm ready to meet you at the show. Rock steady. Had a hard night, I couldn't sleep, so reckless. Call me back when I finish my breakfast. Man, it woke me up and ruined my dream. Playing side by side with my homeboy Kareem. Going for the title, well, that's how it goes. Like Chicken said, the refrigerator's closed. Not here. My refrigerator's open, it's time to throw down. I'm not joking, bacon, eggs, and grits are gonna taste great. But all I see is milk and cornflakes. I finish my bowl.
And that was stage 1-5 and 3-5 from B.Rap Boys. And dear God, I I just looked up the gameplay for this video, and it is bonkers beyond. So let me set the stage. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and you choose through between 3 different guys, depending on which credit you put in. And it starts off proper, where your guy is just sitting on a bike, all just kind of jamming out, and then these guys crash through a sign in like this fiery red truck, and then you just start riding your bike, chasing after them, and these guys jump off of the rollerblades or skates, I don't know which one, and just like these heavy beats going on in the background, and you're just beating them up, and they're all just like these weird, ridiculous-looking, like gunky punk guys, and it's like so wacky, it's just weird. And like when this song kicks in, it's you're at an amusement park, and there's this ride that says Mount Gory, and these logs pull up. You jump up on there, and as soon as this hit kicks on, there's 2 guys throwing just random shit, and they look like if Kuwabara was a lumberjack. They just have like the Kuwabara hair, headbands, beards, and then like red and green like flannel and overalls. And after putting up all their shit, they decide to dive bomb you, and then the ride derails and then grinds on the ground throughout what looks like downtown, and then it goes downstairs, and you jump off, and then you get into a mech suit into a next boss fight against another guy that has a mech suit, and it's like, what the f? All the while these hip hop beats with like these nonsensical rap lyrics going on is like, they had fun making this. That's for damn sure. This is totally something that's gonna have to make its way onto my Mio Mini for me to try out. So, oh boy. So we're gonna kind of cool things down now with our next and last track here. This is BGM 2 from Blockout. Of course, composer unknown. That was BGM 2 from Blockout. And this is actually, out of all the games here, the one I have played in the arcade. And I know I played this one because of just the gameplay, the style of it, because it's like a 3D Tetris, but instead of, seeing it from the side, you're going from like top down. So like all the shapes are kind of like wireframe, and then you drop them down below, and then you know what layer you're on because of the color, but also because of this gray head that talks at you in between, stages and at the beginning of the game. And yeah, I have very specific memories of playing this game. It was like in the kind of like, let's see, it was at Sunsplash Golfland in Roseville. You go in, and then there's the first row of arcade games. So if you were to go to your right, you would find Super Puzzle Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And at the very end of that was one of the Dungeons & Dragons arcade cabinets. It's kind of, at the, what is it called? The corner piece, whatever it is. And then if you were to go to your left, you would go to like the lesser played arcade games, like just games that, not many people would gravitate towards, I'd guess, and this was there, like Blockout, right there. And for the life of me, I can't remember what else was along that line because, like I said, a lot of these cabinets that were in this section were pretty forgettable, though I remember at the very end of it, like how the other end had, the Dungeons & Dragons Capcom arcade game. The other end had Revolution X, which was that, shooting game with the machine gun, and I can't remember what band it was. I don't care. I don't like that music. And you shot at these guys on rollerblades, and you shot CDs at them and stuff, and I could never get too far on it, but that's besides the point. Blockout was interesting. I could only get maybe a few stages in before I was kind of really disoriented and, couldn't keep up with it and just kind of panicked with all the stacking and stuff. And yeah, and this music didn't help, unfortunately. And I'm going to stop talking about the arcade here because I've been meaning to do a couple episodes about, a couple arcades I went to and the games that were there that I remember. And I just haven't really had a chance to put it together. And I really wanted to do like a really kind of like thorough history of one of them, which was in the town that I grew up in when I was like, from maybe 3 to 10. And that place being called Prospector Hill, though unfortunately it was shut down like sometime in the early 2000s after I had moved from Auburn. And, then shortly after that, it was torn down and then turned into RV and storage place, like a big old place. And that was horribly sad to see, though really cool. Almost exactly across the highway from it on the other side, there's a new arcade called Out of Order, which they've been there for a few years now. I've only just recently discovered it. I mean to go there and see if the people there maybe remember Prospector Hill. Hopefully, they lived there when when that was still going on. So we'll find out. But getting back to Blockout, hey, cool game. Definitely worth a check out if you happen to see it in the wild or, emulate it. It's, like I said, it's a really interesting take on Tetris. And so this brings us to the end. So thank you all for coming into VG Emporium. And remember, episode 100 is almost here. So send your favorite track in, either by email on the Discord or, at any of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Oh yeah, and the email is vgemporium@gmail.com. And of course, keep listening to VG Emporium on all your favorite podcatchers such as Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Audible even, as well as on TerraPlayer, which they actually recently released an iPhone and Android app for it, but unfortunately it's only just a few radio channels they have, so you'll have to actually go to the TerraPlayer website to listen to VG Emporium there and all the other video game related podcasts that they are hosting. So now next week is going to be pretty much the exact opposite of today. So whereas we're listening to VGM done by unknown composers, I'm going to be playing you some non-VGM music by musicians that I have known for quite some time and hope to help others discover. And there is a specific theming around all their music, though it will be revealed when the episode comes out. So hey, come on back.